Today, more than ever, organizations like Maithri, which actually helps people who are impacted by domestic violence, who are impacted in the form of like either elder abuse or other form of social injustice. It's so much more important for organizations like Maithri to step up and stand on their behalf. These are problems culturally and otherwise have not been dealt with by people comfortably, and we are taking a bigger. We are, our problem is to take care of these kind of big challenges by bringing it out in the open and not be afraid to give help to the people who need them. So yeah.
Do you see any change in the community towards domestic violence?
It's a very good question. Years ago, in the South Asian communities, talking about problems like domestic violence and elder abuse, even though people knew that it existed, they would rather not discuss those issues. Today, with the amount of outreach and awareness organizations like Maithri is bringing forth, these are problems that people are willing to talk about. They are no longer ashamed to talk about. And that reflects in how the number of people coming to Maithri for help. Last year alone, we had a 27%, 28% increase in the calls to our helpline, and it's been the highest ever. And that's because of the fact that like the community is taking a different approach to viewing these problems. Dealing with these problems more openly from before, and as a consequence, we have to be able to take on the amount of challenge that comes with the newer number of people who are reaching out for our help. We do provide several avenues in the form of like legal advocacy, transitional home, and peer counseling and economic empowerment. All of these services are provided, but each of them, along with the helpline, we will have to scale, and our budget goes up every year. The previous year, we just crossed the $1 million mark. This year, we are at 1.3, and that means that like our goal is to provide the excellent service that we have been doing so far to more number of people, because there are more number of people coming to us.
I really cannot overstate the relevance of Maithri, because it touches so many lives and it elevates so many lives. And we have seen in the last few years how much Maithri has done and to bring the issue of domestic violence mainstream, and where people are not embarrassed about talking about this issue. It's not a threat to the community. In fact, the community has pitched in so much that we've been able to do things that we used to have like a dream thing. So the community has recognized the relevance of Maithri, and I think that's one of our biggest achievements.
Oh, it's extremely relevant because it's part of the community, and basically what Maithri is doing, it's basically helping communities help themselves, whether it's the victims of domestic violence, also children, they're elderly people, some men, women, and they also help in sex trafficking, which is such a huge problem that people don't know about. So Maithri is very impactful to the community. Absolutely, the mere fact that this gala year after year keeps on growing is evident that there are a lot of people who are now paying attention to this cause, and they're realizing that domestic violence happens unfortunately way too often, and more people are coming out and speaking out against this and trying to support it. What we hope Let me restart that. What we hope to accomplish from this event is a fundraising event, but what we hope to accomplish through Maithri is to one day have a violence-free society. And maybe that seems maybe a little too ambitious, but I think it's possible when you educate people and they're aware of this cause and they're aware that this is a disease, a sickness that happens every so often, then we can do something about it. So from Maithri, we would like to raise awareness and then hopefully eliminate this violence.
So I have been watching Maithri since it began. I grew up watching my mom start to take calls and really bring the community together. I think one thing that draws me to this cause is from a young age, I saw a lot more of the community, a lot more of the people who were affected. I remember going to the office with my mom and seeing these posters and really, even though I was so young, feeling heartbroken for what I could see. The struggles and kind of what everyone would go through. Yeah, seeing that from a young age, it definitely resonated. I think organizations like this are absolutely necessary because it gives voice, it gives power. Without it, you sort of feel like there's nobody out there to relate to you, and nobody out there who could support you if you made such a big life-changing decision. So, causes like these bring people to speak up, which I think is extremely important.
I think it's actually a wonderful organization, and the strengthening of women is probably the most important thing we can do. And I think the women who come here, they don't have often a support system when they get in a situation like this. So Maithri fulfills a very wonderful need. I think many women who come to Maithri don't actually have a support system. And so that's somebody to call when you're far away from home and you don't know anybody. It fulfills a very important need. That's interesting. Actually, I've been with Maithri since the very beginning when it started, and I do think there's a greater awareness, certainly in the people who've been here for a while and have known Maithri. I think Maithri has a pretty big outreach. I think just having awareness is definitely a very important thing. So I think it's definitely much better than it used to be. I mean, we used to think that it's not a problem in our community when we first started. I don't think it's like that anymore.
Well, Maithri is a very important cause. Domestic violence is something terrible and needs to be addressed at all costs. And Maithri has been doing it for 26 years, has helped hundreds of thousands of people who've placed calls to the hotline, and has actually answered almost 5,000 crisis calls, and that's very large scale, very large impact on a very large problem.